All right, so there goes your brain saying your favorite story. I loved this quote. I heard this in an interview I was listening to regarding some people who work with brain science, and they talk about how the same stories repeat for all of us over and over again. And the person who was talking said, I always have this thought, I don't have enough money, or I'm afraid I won't have enough money. And the person she was working with said, oh, there's your favorite story again. And the reason that our brain, the reason we do habitually the same things over and over and over again is because we've been holding on to these little stories that we recycle. Could be hourly, could be daily, could be weekly. I'm never gonna lose this weight. I'm so heavy. Nobody's gonna want me. I've been heavy my whole life. What's going to change, right? We all have those stories, and we don't even realize sometimes we're saying them, but we're saying them on repeat, right? And after I heard this, I had this little epiphany where I said, I could clearly identify my stories that have repeated over and over in my lifetime. And I had the realization it's kind of like when we hear these little stories repeat over and over again, we treat them as if they are important or significant. So we actually believe them. And I was telling my husband this, I said, it's kind of like we have been watching the same movie over and over and over again. And every time we watch it, we react as if we've never seen it before. Like, oh, can you believe that just happened? Or we laugh, even though really it's not funny because we knew it was going to do the thing it was going to do. Or it really wasn't scary because we've seen it so many times at this point. We know where the jump scares are. But yet we act as if, oh yeah, I am never going to lose this weight. I have been overweight my whole life. We repeat the story over and over and over again. And we then falsely act as if we've never seen the movie before. Hence where this whole thinking leads to eating series goes. Not only do we have habitual behaviors attached to thoughts, but we have these story thoughts that prompt that whole experience, right? Yep, never gonna lose this weight, always gonna be heavy, been heavy my whole life. What difference does today make? Might as well go and have what I want. All those story thoughts are what lead you down the road of the thinking leads to eating. But what I want to entertain the idea of, be really honest with yourself. If you know you've heard this thought at least a couple times this week, this month, maybe today, you're coming off the weekend possibly. Oh my God, I did it again. When am I going to get my act together? Pay attention, please. I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart because I want to see you stop suffering so much, quite honestly. The sooner you get, this is not you, creating an original story about you. And in this dialogue between these two people, one thing came out, and I think this really can maybe help you better understand this. The lady said, yeah, every time the thought about money came up, I'm afraid I won't make enough, I won't have enough. She says, I started to believe because this thought kept coming up over and over and over again, that it actually was meaningful to me. She goes, I really believed it had to be important because why else would it keep showing up for me so frequently, right? And the same is true when it comes to weight. When I finally said to myself, and again, when I was going through my own journey, I couldn't explain this to you on a video. I couldn't have articulated really any of this. But what I did know was that story loop that I was stuck in, Heather's overweight, Heather has to lose weight, Heather's got to be on a diet. When I finally bucked it up and said, who said I have to? I could be heavy my whole life. No one's going to stop me. There's nobody's going to come into my house and demand I lose weight or else. I get to make that choice 100%. I stopped listening to the story in my head as if it was me having some kind of original thought, or as if it was really being truthful. And I also started to realize they were just regurgitated thoughts. Again, I couldn't have explained lower brain, higher brain, couldn't have explained any of this to you, but I started to become savvy to the fact that it said the same thing over and over and over again. And yet nothing changed. It always led me down the same path of self-destruction and sabotage. And that if it really was that important, wouldn't I have done something different by now? So I just started articulating out loud a different story. No, Heather, you don't have to lose weight. As a matter of fact, you can gain weight. And it felt so wildly uncomfortable to say these things out loud because it was so much different from what I had always been thinking. But it started to create a new track in my head. So if you're that person who you've had these regurgitated thoughts, one, realize you're watching the same movie on repeat. And if you actually allow it to pull you in, it's kind of like you're reacting as if you've never seen it before, right? You know the plot line, you know the scares. You can choose to quiet it down and just kind of like put it on mute, or if nothing else, walk out of the room and choose not to pay attention to it. You can choose that. And then secondly, I want to just position this, just because it repeats in your head does not mean it's important to you. It is a habit loop. It's a habit thought. Of course it's going to say the same thing because it gets a certain result from you. It allows you to impulsively eat. It allows you to have that one last binge. It takes you to your habit. So of course that thought repeats, but you can drop the worry about, well, this must be important to me, otherwise I wouldn't keep having the thought. Is your general health important to you? Absolutely. It is the way that this is being positioned in your head with the long list of to-dos and repeating the same structured behaviors that always lead you to overeating or abandoning your plan. Is that necessary? No. And if your general health is important to you, pay attention to how you are eating in a way to love and care for your body versus just lose weight. Often for people, when they have the thought, I need to lose weight, I should lose weight, I have to lose weight for my health, they normally get very restrictive versus, hey, I want to take really good care of my body. I'm going to feed it well. I'm going to add in some fruits and veggies. I'm going to add in some lean proteins. I'm going to go for a walk. When we look at it through that lens, it feels and appears very different to us. But just because you have regurgitated thoughts does not mean it is important to you. It just means your habit brain has made a connection that when it says certain things, it leads to your habit. Your habit could be impulsive eating, binge eating, overeating, saying, okay, I screw my plan today, I'll start tomorrow. It takes you in the direction of using food to make yourself feel better. I hope this message helps. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.